The Sound.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. And all the music you love. BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
I hope this Wednesday is treating you well and you're enjoying the great Cambridgeshire weather. So we've had Olly Murs on the show. Yeah, Olly Murs. We've had Dr. Olivia Reams on the show, and you can listen to those back on the BBC Sounds app. It's there, no extra charge for a full month. But coming up this hour, the author Rose McClelland makes a return. Her new book is Out of Your Head, a psychological thriller with an underlying theme of addiction and mental health issues. So Rose up in just a few minutes' time. And then the afternoon quiz, 10 topical questions just for fun. Bruce Springsteen. And everybody has a hungry heart. Right, it's time to talk books. We love to guide you towards some good reads, and we have another one.
BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
So our next guest was on the show in the last year, actually, during lockdown. She has produced a whole pile of bestsellers. Under Your Skin was one of them, The Year with No Rules, The Breakup Test, How to Look Like You. The Breakup Test being one of the most successful. Her new book, I have in my hands, it's called Out of Your Head, and she is Rose McClelland. Hello, Rose.
Hello, Chris. Lovely to be back on the show.
Lovely to speak to you. We love that accent. Northern Ireland, of course.
Thank you, yes, Belfast.
Belfast. And how is sunny Belfast?
It is very sunny today, actually. It's lovely. I'm hoping to go out for a walk after this. It's really nice.
So, this is a thriller. It's a book about, well, addiction and mental health issues. Talk us through it.
Okay, so yes, there's an underlying theme of addiction and mental health, but, first and foremost, I just wanted it to be a thriller with lots of twists and turns and lots of drama. So I could read the very short blurb at the back of the book, if you like.
Go on.
Okay, so fatal accidents do happen, or was there a plan? A 6-year-old dies in a car driven by her father. He barely survives. A simple hit and run, yet the police think it's murder. And who might be next? The mother is out of her mind. If losing her daughter is not enough, why is she being stalked?
Why, indeed. No. To come up with stuff like this, where does it all come from, Rose? You're down the shops or something, and you think, oh, I should just bump them off in my next book or something if someone upsets you? Where does it all come from?
Well, I usually start off with the theme, first of all. So, like for this one, I started off with the theme of addiction. And so then I sort of think about, well, what characters could display that theme well? And so then I start to think about the character, and then I think about, well, what would their partner be like and the children? And then I try and think of like an incident at the start of the book, like something really dramatic that will pull the reader in, and then start to like unravel the mystery behind that incident. So, but it usually starts with the theme for me. Yeah.
You shocked me because you're a sort of quiet Belfast lady, aren't you? And there you are in you're a family lady. Chapter 1, there was sex at the end of it, Rose. Honestly,
I actually forgot about that until you mentioned it. I forgot about it.
Goodness me! Do you let the close family members read this before you publish it?
Yes, family members do read it, and some like to kind of turn a blind eye and not mention it, and but I think they're secretly quite proud, of how well the books are doing. But yeah, we don't discuss those kinds of things.
Okay, it doesn't happen. Proud of you, absolutely, because you're an Amazon #1 bestseller in the UK and also in North America, which takes some doing. The Belfast Telegraph gave you Best Books of 2020 with Under Your Skin, which is fantastic. Yeah, and this is just tell us, because everyone is told they've got a book in them, and folk think it's an impossible mission to try and get a book published. Tell us how you did it.
Well, I always wanted to write since I was about 10, and then I went to uni and studied English and drama. But
UD being?
Uni de Montfort, Uni in Leicester. I studied English and drama.
Okay.
But even then, even with studying English, I still didn't believe that I could be a writer. And then I went and did various different creative writing courses, and I still didn't believe that I could. And I would have started books and then not finished them. And then I did a course called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and that really helped me to to get going, to sit down, write a novel, and keep on going until I wrote the end. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone is wanting to write, I would say just keep at it and write the first draft, and don't let the fears tell you not to write. Just keep on going until you write the end.
When you say the first draft, how many words would that be, and how long does that take?
A first draft for me is usually about 70,000 words, and it takes me about 4 months.
Wow. So and you've got to write every day, right?
No, I don't write every day, actually. I definitely write at the weekends because I know I'm not going to get interrupted and I'll get peace and quiet. And when I do sit down to write, I'll only sit for about 2 hours. I write in very short stints because I can't concentrate for that long. I like to kind of tell myself, right, okay, I'll sit down for 2 hours and I'll write, and then after that I'll just go and relax and enjoy the day. And I sort of set myself little goals and coax myself to write.
Wow. A friend of mine once came across Stephen King. It's a long story as to how he did it, but anyway, and just to ask him one question, how do you do it? And his answer was, I write 1,000 words every single day. Every single day of my life, no matter where I am, what I'm doing, I write 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good advice. And Julia Cameron, in her Artist Way course, suggests writing 3 pages of anything every morning. And so that gets you into the habit of sitting in front of the piece of paper and putting words down and not judging yourself, because that's the main problem. People think that they have to sit down and write something magical in the first go. And even now, when I'm writing a first draft, there's a wee voice on my shoulder that says, this is rubbish. And then I have to just ignore it and say, well, it's only a first draft and I'm going to go back and edit it later.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to do.
So there are 39 chapters in Out of Your Head and lots of characters. The main ones appear quite early on, and then people start getting bumped off or dying and so on. How much of that is changed? I mean, that main plot that you've got in there, is that there right from the beginning, or do you get halfway through and think, that's not working?
It did change, actually. And the Mia character who was in chapter 1, she didn't turn up until quite near the end. And I started writing her, and I thought, I like this character. She's quite feisty and she's quite mad. We'll have more of her. She's very dramatic. And then she became chapter 1, which I hadn't planned. So, yeah, it can change a bit as you go along. You set out with plot points, and it can change as you sort of get to know the characters.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, chapter 1 certainly took me by surprise, but that's another matter. Right, Rose, I'm going to get you to read something. In just a moment or two. Stay where you are, and we're going to play a bit of music, all right? And then check the travel, and we'll be right back with you.
BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
So my guest still with us is Rose McClelland, whose brand new book is called Out of Your Head. Fatal accidents do happen, or was there a plan? And she's a disappointed woman, Rose McClelland, aren't you, Rose?
I am, Chris. Now, if this hadn't been lockdown, if I had come into your reception and I had been waiting, I would have been sitting chatting to Olly Murs in reception over a nice cup of coffee.
You'd have got to meet that strange Japanese dog that he's got now.
I know. Oh, well, maybe the next time.
Lovely fellow, though, don't you think? He's a really nice lad.
Oh, so lovely. So lovely and so down to earth.
Yeah. What's life been like for a writer during lockdowns? I suppose you kind of lock yourselves away anyway, don't you?
Well, that's it. I have to say I quite enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest. I quite enjoyed it because it enabled me to just get the head down, focus, write the next book. I think a lot of writers, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I think a lot of writers are quite introverted by nature, and they like to sort of, be in their own company. So I was fine with it, I have to say. I got another book written, so that's good. And I'm now on to book 6, so that's good.
Well done. And the titles have all got a bit of a theme to them, haven't they? Under Your Skin and How to Look Like You and The Breakup Test and Now Out of Your Head.
Yes.
You're going to read an excerpt for us?
I am.
Okay.
Okay, so this is an excerpt from chapter 2, and it's from the point of view of...
Just checking, it's not that naughty bit at the end of
No,
chapter 1, is it?
I promise. No,
okay.
it's I promise.
It's a family
You
show,
have to buy
Rose,
the
for
book.
goodness
You have
sake.
to buy the book to read that bit, okay? So chapter 2, and it's from Kerry, the detective's point of view. So, a possible hit and run and a red car. That's all we've got, I say to Simon when he turns up. There's a lot of questions arising. Like what? Give me a rundown. Well, it certainly looks like a hit and run. Possibly a red car fled the scene. But there's a few things that don't add up. The tread marks where the car swerved don't look like an accident. Forensics said something about layers of rubber on the road. Could be the driver accelerated into the wall. That's just a possibility. You mean deliberately? A suicide? With his own kid in the car? Simon looks extremely perplexed. It's just another thing we have to clear up. Also, I didn't notice any impact grazing on the side of the subject matter car. So the red car didn't actually crash into the casualties, it just drove on. Our car swerved on purpose. What did the witness say on that issue? That's the problem, Simon, I frown. She didn't see the point of impact. She only heard one crash, the car hitting the wall. There's no evidence of a prior impact, but we can't rule it out. Anything else? Simon probes. Yeah, forensics handed me a cell phone that was lying on the driver's seat. What do you think? We need time to run it through the computer centre. We might find he was using it at the moment of impact. Mike and the Socko boys uncovered a driving licence belonging to Elaine Fitzpatrick. I phoned base and they gave me details of the next of kin. It's a Zoe Waller. She's the mother of the child and I guess he's the father. He nods. You got her address? Yeah, Ormo Road. I've got the number here. Geez, they were nearly home then. Yep, I replied. This is going to be a fun call to make at 1 a.m. Having to tell another woman that her loved ones are lying in hospital, maybe dead already. So that's a little excerpt.
Very good. A lot of mostly dialogue there, which must be a tricky thing to write because you're imagining a conversation. How do you do that?
Well, do you know, I find that I do write a lot of dialogue actually, and a lot of people say to me, you should really be writing for TV, Rose, because it is very dialogue based.
Yeah.
And I tend, it sounds really silly, but when I'm writing, I pretend that I'm in the audience of a theatre watching the scene unfold in front of me, and I pretend I'm watching it. And so, and it just happens that way. It just happens to be very dialogue based. I don't know why that is. I think maybe it feels a bit more dramatic for me to write that way. I don't know.
Are you doing the voices?
What do you mean doing the voices?
When you're writing it, are you doing? And
voices in my head.
Yeah, and it must be amazing to create actual characters, you know, in your mind, real life people, and then when the book comes out, they're in print.
Yeah, it is. And the fun part is when you're writing it and you get to about halfway through the novel, and you know, because when you're writing it, you're getting to know the characters as well, and so by the time you get about halfway through the novel, the characters are very clear in your head, and it sounds really corny, but it's so true. You know, a lot of writers say the novel starts to write itself because you can kind of second guess what that character would do, and so you sort of cruise towards the end then. So that's the fun part when you get to about halfway through.
Yeah, I heard an interview with Keith Richards, who said he and Mick Jagger had written lots of great songs, obviously original songs, but very often Mick Jagger would come in, I've got this great tune, and would sing it or play it, and Keith would say, no, you know, the Beatles have already done that, or, you know, the Hollies, or whoever, that's already a song, Mick.
Yeah.
With a book, is there a similar thing to think, oh, this is a great plot, and then you realise that, I don't know, Agatha Christie or Enid Blyton or whoever has been there before you?
I don't know. I mean, I do know that I read a lot, and so I think that sometimes you definitely have influences. You know, you pick things up and you go, I like the way, like for example, I really love an author called Fiona Barton, and she wrote a book called The Widow, and there's a really strong female narrative voice in it, and I thought, I love that. You know, it felt really intimate, and so I try to do that as well. So I do think you can't help but be influenced by other writers. Hopefully without pinching their ideas.
Yeah, I've had Fiona Barton on the show actually. Yeah. The Couple Next Door, she came on and talked about, and The Child, and I think The Black Widow as well. Really, really good book. She was chief reporter on the Mail on
Daily
Sunday.
Mail?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly
yeah,
that.
yeah.
An ex-reporter of the year. Really interesting writer. So does dark stuff interest you more than light things? Oh, one thing I should say, Fiona's from Cambridge, actually.
Oh, right. Lovely. I love her books. Really, really love her books. She's fantastic. Yeah, do you know, it's funny because the first 3 books that I wrote were romantic fiction. And I wrote those kind of in my late 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
And the third book, a friend said to me, you know, you could have easily have turned that into a psychological thriller because that guy in the book was mental. And if you had, if you had done a few changes, that could have been a completely different book. And I started to find that my tastes were changing, and I thought, you know, I'm going to try writing this. And so I sat down and wrote Under Your Skin, and I absolutely loved it. And I felt like I could be a bit more grittier and maybe get away with more stuff than I could when I was writing romantic fiction.
Well, we love what you're doing now.
Thank you.
Now, thanks for giving people advice. Keep at it. I think it's the best. Try and write something every day. Get a lot of it done. Don't be put off by your own doubts. Never mind other people's. The question people want to know, Rose, is, next time we speak to you, will it be from your home in the Keys or Barbados or something, or maybe for tax reasons, Monaco? Is it the way to fame and fortune?
Well, Chris, I love your visualization there, and I really do hope I am. I hope I'm talking to you from the penthouse apartment in the Obel. You know what? I think with writing, you know, if you just write one book and then forget about it and don't do any more, you're not going to make any money out of it. You need to keep writing more, and you need to build up momentum. Because what will happen is, hopefully your readers will read one book and then they go, oh, I like this, and then they'll go and want to read your backlog. So you've got to keep momentum and keep writing more. And I'm halfway through writing book 6. So hopefully you'll have me on the show the next time we'll talk about book 6.
Absolutely. Lovely to chat to you again. It's less than a year since the one before, and so much has happened since then. It's lovely to have you back. Congratulations on Out of Your Head. It's a great read. I have to warn people, end of chapter 1 is, all gets a bit intimate rather quickly.
Were you a bit offended by that, Chris?
No, I'm only teasing, of course not. No, it's a nice surprise. Rose, how can people follow you on social media, that kind of stuff? You got
Well, they can go on to Google, type in Rose McClelland, Out of Your Head, and it will come up. Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that.
Right,
yeah.
And the book is published by Amazon. Rose McClelland, thank you for being our guest.
Thank you so much for having me on. Lovely chatting to you again, Chris.
Take care. Rose McClelland, Out of Your Head.
The sound of Cambridgeshire. And all the